My fiancé said, "Let's take a break. You're too emotionally attached." I agreed. Then I found her break pictures on a private travel page. When I booked the same resort under my name and showed up at breakfast, I'm sitting in a beachfront restaurant at 7 in the morning watching my fiancé's face go from relaxed to frozen. She hasn't seen me yet. I'm 3 tables back with sunglasses and a baseball cap, sipping coffee that tastes better than anything I've had in months. Maya's laughing at something the guy next to her just said, touching his arm the way she used to touch mine. Let me back up to 2 weeks ago, when this mess started. Maya came home from work and dropped her purse on the counter with that look. The one where she's already decided something and is just waiting for the right moment to tell me. We'd been engaged for 8 months, together for 3 years total, and I thought things were solid. Not perfect, but solid. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table and said we needed to talk. I put my phone down because when someone says that, you pay attention. She told me she needed space, that I was too emotionally attached, that she felt suffocated. Said she wanted a break to figure things out. 2 weeks, maybe 3. No contact, clean break, time to think. I asked her straight up if there was someone else. She looked me in the eye and said no, that this was about her needing to find herself again. I didn't buy it completely, but I also wasn't going to beg. I told her fine, if that's what she needed, I'd give her space. She seemed almost surprised I agreed so easily. Packed a bag that night and went to stay with her friend Jessica. Here's the thing about Maya. She's terrible at covering her tracks. Always has been. She left her iPad on the coffee table, still logged into everything. The next day, I was looking for our shared calendar to check a dentist appointment, and there it was. A booking confirmation email from some luxury resort in Mexico. Departure date was 3 days away. Return date was 10 days later. The email had a group booking reference number. I clicked through and found a private travel page. 8 people total, all couples. Maya and someone named Derek. Jessica and her boyfriend. 2 other couples I didn't recognize. The page had photos already uploaded from what looked like a planning party a few weeks back. There was Maya, drink in hand, sitting very close to a guy with perfect hair and an expensive watch. Derek, I assumed. I sat there staring at the iPad for probably 20 minutes. The photos kept loading. More drinks, someone's apartment, Maya leaning into this guy while they looked at a phone together, her hand on his chest in one shot. The caption on that one said, "Can't wait for paradise with my favorite people." I wasn't angry yet. That came later. First I was just cold, clear-headed. I screenshotted everything on my phone. The booking confirmations, the group page, every photo, all the comments. Then I did something that probably sounds crazy but made perfect sense to me. I called the resort. The woman who answered was friendly, professional. I explained I was looking to book a stay, same dates as a group already there. She checked availability and said they had rooms available. Would I like an ocean view or garden view? I took ocean view. Paid extra for the upgrade, booked it under my name. Then I bought a plane ticket for the next day. My brother called that night asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I told him what was happening. He asked if I was sure this was the move. I said yeah, I was sure. He offered to come with me. I said no, this was something I needed to do alone. He made me promise to keep my phone on and check in daily. I agreed. The next morning I went to the bank. We had a joint savings account with about $18,000 in it. Money we'd been saving for the wedding. I withdrew $9,000, my half, and deposited it into my personal account. Left the other half there. I wasn't trying to clean her out, just protecting what was mine. Then I stopped by the wedding venue on my way home and asked about their cancellation policy. They said we'd lose the deposit, but everything else could be refunded if we canceled more than 30 days out. I told them I'd call back. Maya texted me on day 3 of the break, asked how I was doing. I kept it short, said I was fine, giving her the space she asked for. She sent back a heart emoji. I didn't respond to that. Day 5, I flew out. The resort was exactly as nice as the photos suggested. White sand, clear water, the whole setup. I checked in under my name, got my room key, asked the front desk what time breakfast service started. 7 in the morning. I set an alarm for 6:30. That first night, I stayed in my room. Ordered room service, watched TV, went through the group travel page again on my phone. They'd been posting photos all day. Beach shots, pool shots, sunset drinks. Maya in a bikini I'd never seen before, sitting on Derek's lap in one photo. The comments were full of heart emojis and couple goals garbage. I slept fine. Better than I had in a week, actually. Morning came and I got dressed in shorts and a plain t-shirt, grabbed my sunglasses and a hat I'd bought in the gift shop. Headed down to the restaurant at 6:50. The place was mostly empty. I took a table in the back corner with a clear view of the entrance and the main seating area. Ordered coffee and waited. They came in at 7:15. All 8 of them, loud and laughing, clearly already tight from a week of vacation drinking. Maya was wearing a sundress I'd never seen, Derek's arm around her waist. They got seated at a big table near the windows. I watched them order, watched them joke around, watched Maya kiss Derek on the cheek when he said something that made the table laugh. I gave it 15 minutes, let them get comfortable. Then I stood up, took off the sunglasses and hat, and walked straight to their table. Maya saw me first. The color drained from her face so fast I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Derek noticed her reaction and turned to look at me. The whole table went quiet. I kept my voice calm and friendly, said good morning, beautiful day, sorry to interrupt their breakfast. Maya couldn't form words, just stared at me like I was a ghost. I told her I'd gotten her message about needing space and thought a vacation would help me process things too. What a coincidence we picked the same resort. Derek found his voice first. Asked who I was. I introduced myself as Maya's fiancé, put emphasis on that word, and stuck out my hand for a shake. He didn't take it. Jessica, Maya's supposed best friend, looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Maya finally managed to say my name, asked what I was doing here. I told her I was on vacation, same as her, enjoying my break time, really embracing the space she asked for. Then I pulled out my phone and pulled up the screenshots, the group travel page, the photos, the comments. Asked if she'd found herself yet or if she needed more time. The table was dead silent. One of the other women, someone I didn't know, muttered something about this being awkward. I agreed, said it was very awkward, and told Maya we should probably talk in private. She nodded, stood up without looking at Derek, and followed me away from the table. We walked down to the beach. She started crying before we even got to the sand. Started with apologies, said she didn't mean for it to happen this way, that she'd been confused. That Derek was just someone from her gym who'd invited her on this trip, and she'd thought it would help her clear her head. I let her talk herself in circles for a few minutes. Then I cut her off. Told her I'd withdrawn my half of the savings, that I was canceling the wedding venue tomorrow, and that when we got back home she had 1 week to get her stuff out of my apartment. She tried to argue that the apartment was both of ours. I reminded her the lease was only in my name, had been since before she moved in. She switched tactics, said I was being cruel, that I was overreacting, that nothing physical had happened with Derek. I showed her the photo of her sitting on his lap. She said it was just for the picture, didn't mean anything. I asked if she thought I was stupid. She didn't answer that. Then she got angry, said I'd violated her privacy by looking at her iPad. I told her she'd violated our relationship by planning a couple's vacation while engaged to me. She said I was controlling and that this was exactly why she needed space. I told her she had all the space she wanted now, permanently. I walked away, left her standing on the beach, went back to my room, changed into swim trunks, and spent the day at the pool. Saw their group at lunch, looking miserable and tense. Maya wasn't with them. Derek kept glaring at me from across the pool area. I ignored him. The next 2 days were interesting. I stayed at the resort, enjoyed my vacation, went snorkeling, got a massage, ate good food. Maya's group kept to themselves mostly. I'd see them around, but they'd avoid eye contact, except Derek, who seemed to think we were going to have some confrontation. I had zero interest in that. On my last full day, I was at the pool bar when Jessica approached me. She sat down 2 stools away and ordered a drink. Didn't look at me at first. Then she said she was sorry. I asked what she was sorry for. She said for going along with it, for not telling me, for being a bad friend. I told her she was never my friend, so she didn't owe me anything. But she owed Maya better than helping her cheat. She said Maya had told her we were basically over, that I knew about Derek, that this trip was Maya's way of moving on. I laughed at that, asked if she really believed it. She admitted she hadn't wanted to look too close at it. She told me Maya had been seeing Derek for about 2 months. Started as workout sessions at the gym, turned into coffee after, then dinners. Maya had convinced herself it wasn't really cheating because things between us had gotten stale. I asked what things had gotten stale. Jessica couldn't name any specific examples. Just said Maya felt like the spark was gone. I thanked her for the information and left. Didn't finish my drink. That night, someone knocked on my door around 10:30. I opened it to find Derek standing there. He was drunk, swaying slightly, trying to look tough. He said we needed to talk man to man. I said we didn't need to talk at all. He insisted. I told him he had 10 seconds to leave before I called security. He said Maya told him I was controlling and emotionally manipulative, that she'd felt trapped in our relationship, that this whole thing was me stalking her on vacation. I asked him if that story made sense, given that she'd agreed to marry me and had been planning a wedding. He said women in bad relationships do that all the time. I told him if he really believed I was dangerous, he was an idiot for showing up at my door drunk and alone. That seemed to penetrate the alcohol fog. He left without another word. I called my brother that night, told him everything that had happened. He asked when I was coming home. I said 1 more day. He said he'd help me pack up Maya's stuff when I got back. I told him that wouldn't be necessary. I'd handle it myself. The next morning I had breakfast at the same restaurant. Maya's group wasn't there. I checked out at 11, took a cab to the airport, flew home. The whole flight I felt lighter than I had in weeks. When I got home, there was a note on my apartment door. Building management letting me know Maya had been by asking for a spare tea. They'd refused since her name wasn't on the lease. Good. I changed the locks the next morning. Cost me $200 and took about an hour with the locksmith. Worth every penny. Then I called the wedding venue and officially canceled. They were understanding, said they'd process the refund for everything except the deposit within 2 weeks. I called the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Everyone was professional about it. Some had cancellation fees. I paid them and moved on. Maya started texting me during her flight home. I'd kept my phone off at the resort after the Derek incident and only turned it back on once I was in my apartment. 18 messages. The first few were angry, calling me controlling and manipulative. Then they shifted to apologetic, begging me to talk to her, then back to angry, saying I'd embarrassed her in front of her friends. Then apologetic again. I responded to exactly one. Told her she had until Saturday to arrange pickup of her things. After that, I was donating everything. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She called 12 more times that evening. I blocked her number. She showed up Thursday morning with her mom and Jessica. I watched them from the window. Her mom was clearly angry, gesturing at the building, at Maya, looking ready for a fight. They tried the buzzer. I didn't answer. They left after 15 minutes. Friday afternoon, Maya came back with a small, moving truck. Her mom, Jessica, and someone else I didn't recognize. I'd spent the previous 2 evenings packing all of Maya's stuff into boxes and garbage bags. Left everything in the hallway outside my apartment door. I watched from the window as they loaded it all up. Maya kept looking up at the building like she expected me to come down. I didn't. Saturday morning I got an email from her. Long, rambling, full of excuses and justifications and half apologies. She said Derek had been a mistake, that she'd gotten caught up in attention from someone new, that she realized now I was the person she wanted. She said we could start over, maybe do counseling, work on communication. I didn't respond. Sunday, her dad called. I answered because I'd always gotten along with him and figured he deserved an explanation. He said Maya had told him her side, and he wanted to hear mine. I told him everything, the break request, the iPad, the group travel page, the resort. He was quiet for a long time. Then he apologized, said he'd raised her better than that, and he was disappointed in her choices. I told him I appreciated that. He said he understood if I never wanted to speak to any of them again, but he wanted me to know he was sorry. 2 weeks later, I got a message from Derek on social media. He said Maya had moved in with him and wanted to know if I had any of her stuff I'd missed. I told him I didn't. He said Maya was telling people I'd kept her grandmother's ring out of spite. I sent him a photo of the ring box with a note that said I'd returned it to Maya's mom the day after I got back. He didn't respond after that. I heard through mutual friends that Maya and Derek's relationship fell apart within a month. Apparently, she'd been comparing him to me constantly, complaining that he wasn't as stable or reliable. He'd kicked her out after a fight about her still having photos of me on her phone. She'd moved back in with her parents. 3 months after the resort incident, I ran into Jessica at a coffee shop. She asked if we could talk. I said we could, but I didn't have anything to say to her. She told me Maya had been texting her constantly asking about me, if I was seeing anyone, if I ever mentioned her. I told Jessica to tell Maya I never thought about her at all anymore. That was mostly true. Some days I'd remember something stupid and it would sting for a minute. But mostly I was good. Better than good, actually. I'd started going to the gym, picked up a hobby I'd let die when Maya and I got together, reconnected with friends I'd drifted away from. My brother set me up on a date with someone from his wife's book club. It went okay. Nothing serious, but it reminded me I could do this again when I was ready. That there wasn't anything wrong with me. That Maya's choices were about her, not about what I lacked. 6 months out, I got one final message from Maya. She'd gotten engaged to someone new. Wanted me to know she was happy. I congratulated her and meant it. Whatever happiness she found wasn't my problem anymore. I'm doing fine now. The apartment feels like mine again. I sleep well. Work is good. My brother and I get dinner once a week. Life moves forward whether you want it to or not. Might as well move with it. Still haven't been back to Mexico though. Maybe someday.